Have you ever paused and asked yourself, what if the most peaceful part of my life hasn't happened yet? What if peace isn't something behind you, but something quietly waiting just ahead? Maybe what weighs you down isn't your age, but the emotions you haven't been allowed to release, the roles you've carried, the expectations you've tried to meet, the parts of you that were never given permission to rest. You've lived deeply, you've tried, you've hoped, you've lost, you've loved. But have you asked yourself lately, what am I still carrying that no longer belongs to me? What part of me is finally ready to feel light again? In these sacred years, maybe joy isn't found in doing more, but in softly letting go of the pressure, the fear, the idea that you have to be more to be enough. And so today, would you allow yourself to ask just one gentle question? What would it feel like to come home to myself? If you're willing, let us walk together hand in hand with something greater, the quiet wisdom of the ages, timeless wisdom. Would you allow this wisdom to walk beside you through 6 invisible threads that may have quietly held your peace captive, and one by one, help you untie them? You are not finished. You are unfolding. This could be the most radiant chapter of your life. Shall we begin together? The 6th freedom is the one most people never discover until their final years. And when you hear it, something in you will shift. Just think about Jane Fonda. She once said turning 60 felt like being reborn. Not because life got easier, but because she finally felt free to be herself. She didn't chase youth. She embraced evolution. And that's where this journey begins. 1. Release the belief that there's nothing left to learn. Have you ever noticed how some people over 70 still shine with curiosity in their eyes? They ask questions, read new ideas, explore unfamiliar worldviews. Why? Because they know. The moment we stop learning, our spirit begins to fade. And yet there's a deeper belief that silently steals our vitality. It's not about knowledge, it's about identity. It's the belief that I'm just an ordinary person, that you were born into limitation, poor, sick, unlucky, and that you must carry that identity forever. This is what we call self-minimization, one of the deepest chains to our inner growth. It sounds like this. I've always been like this. I'm not smart enough. People like me don't change. These thoughts are not truths. They are old scripts, and every time we repeat them, we tighten the chain that keeps us from rising. But what if that story was never yours to begin with? What if it's time to write a new one? From a spiritual lens, death is not the end. It is simply the completion of a chapter, the harvest of the seeds you've sown in this lifetime. What you cultivate now, your kindness, your wisdom, your inner light, becomes the energy that continues beyond this form. You're not just aging, you are preparing your soul's legacy. Every moment you spend learning, every time you choose to forgive, every person you uplift with your presence, you are not only living more meaningfully, you are sowing powerful seeds for lifetimes to come. Ask yourself, what new truth is life trying to teach me today? What if I was never meant to be ordinary? How can I use this chapter to become a brighter soul beyond this life? Because if your mind is still curious, your soul is still radiantly young, and it's never too late to become a light for others. 2. Set boundaries without guilt. Even Oprah once said, "No is a complete sentence." At 69, she speaks more boldly than ever about protecting her peace, especially from people who drain her light, even if they're close. After 70, your energy is sacred. You've walked through storms and sunlight. You've given, forgiven, and carried more than most will ever understand. Now, you've earned the right to peace. But peace cannot grow where your boundaries are constantly crossed. Not everyone deserves access to your inner light, especially those who drain it, doubt it, or diminish it. This includes family. Yes, even those who share your DNA. Because love is not entitlement. Love must uplift, not exhaust. Just because someone is your blood doesn't mean they have the right to your time, energy, or emotional space. Ask yourself gently, who genuinely brings me peace and who repeatedly robs me of it? Am I protecting my peace like the sacred treasure it truly is? And here's a deeper layer. Sometimes the reason we don't set boundaries is because we're afraid of failing. Afraid that if we say no, we'll be judged. Afraid that if we choose peace, we'll be seen as selfish. Afraid that stepping away from toxic relationships means we're giving up. This is one of the great inner chains, the fear of failure. Sometimes we've failed once and it's scarred us. Sometimes we've never even tried, yet we're already afraid. But what if failure isn't the end, but a sacred feedback loop? What if setting boundaries isn't rejection, but a radical act of self-love? True transformation cannot happen if fear is still sitting in the driver's seat. Ask yourself, what if the greatest failure is not setting the boundary my soul has been asking for? Who would I become if I wasn't afraid to protect my peace? Because peace isn't a luxury, it's your birthright. And every time you choose yourself, you're not failing, you're finally becoming free. 3. Clear the space, outside and within. Take a look around you. Old drawers, cluttered closets, shelves filled with things you haven't touched in years. These items don't just take up space in your home, they take up space in your mind. Now, take a look within. Are you still holding on to heavy emotions, words you've never said, moments of regret you silently carry? These aren't just memories. They are mental clutter, blocking physically or emotionally. You give your soul a little more room to breathe. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to that I no longer need? What part of me is ready to feel lighter? But there's something else that quietly stops many people from clearing their inner clutter. It's the fear of criticism. Have you ever wanted to live your own way, but held back because you feared what others might say? Have you ever stopped yourself from trying something new because someone might laugh at you or judge you? Have you stayed in situations that no longer serve you just because you're afraid of being called selfish? Sometimes the people we fear most are the ones we love the most. A husband, a wife, a sibling, even your own children. Not because they mean harm, but because you fear their disappointment more than your own unhappiness. But this is your life. No one else can live it for you, and you don't need anyone's permission to live more peacefully and freely. Ask yourself, what am I still carrying just because I'm afraid of being judged? If I wasn't afraid of criticism, what would I do differently? Remember, you have the right to live gently, bravely, and in your own way. And sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is let go of something you've held for far too long. If one of these truths spoke to your heart, I'd love to hear which one. Leave a gentle thought in the comments. Your voice might help someone else heal too. 4. Free yourself from the fear of aging. Society often teaches us that aging is a decline, that wrinkles are something to hide, that gray hair is something to cover, that moving more slowly means we're nearing the end. But that's not the truth. Aging is not falling apart. Aging is deepening. Each wrinkle on your face is a verse in your life's poem. Each silver hair is a symbol of your victories. Each slower step is a rhythm guided by wisdom and calm. Growing older is not the end. It's the beginning of a deeper truth, one that only those who've lived long enough can fully understand. You might ask yourself, what if aging isn't a burden but a crown? What if this stage of life isn't a closing door, but an invitation to live more gently, more truthfully? But there's another belief that often holds people back. It's the quiet voice that says, I don't have enough to start. Maybe you've said, I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I'm too old now. I missed the chance. My family's always been poor. This is just my life. This way of thinking locks you in place before you even take your first step. You haven't acted yet, but you've already told yourself it's not possible. But here's the truth. It's not that you don't have the conditions. It's that you may be missing belief in yourself. Because the real condition for starting anything new is not money, youth, or perfect timing. The real condition is your inner permission. So ask yourself, if I stopped believing I needed more, what would I begin today? Could my age actually be a gift if I allowed myself to live fully with it? You don't need to wait for the perfect conditions to begin living. When you start living with intention, the right conditions begin to show up. 5. Let go of expecting others to make you happy. Take Morgan Freeman. He didn't land his breakout role until he was 52. But instead of waiting for happiness to arrive, he lived fully where he stood and joy followed. One of the most gentle but powerful truths is this: no one is coming to give you happiness. Not your children, not your spouse, not your friends. Joy isn't something handed to you. It's something you grow from within. People who live fully in their later years aren't the ones who wait to be invited. They create their own moments. They find a song they love and dance even if no one else joins in. They don't say, maybe one day. They say, why not now? So ask yourself, what kind of joy can I create for myself today? But here's one more hidden barrier that keeps many people from doing this. It's the belief, I don't know enough. Maybe you've thought, I'm not smart like others. I didn't study much, so I probably can't do it. I don't have enough knowledge to start anything new. This quiet belief makes you feel small before you've even begun. It connives it. But let's be honest, no one knows everything. And wisdom isn't about knowing it all. It's about being open, being curious, being willing to learn a little more each day. Every moment you learn something new about yourself, about life, about what brings you joy, you grow. And in that growth, happiness finds you. Ask yourself, if I believed I was capable, what would I dare to try? What joy have I delayed just because I thought I wasn't qualified to have it? Because you don't need to know everything to begin. You just need to believe you're allowed to begin anyway. And that belief alone can open the door to a happiness no one else can give you because it was yours all along. 6. Stop comparing yourself to younger generations. The world keeps shouting, be young again, as if youth is the only thing worth having. But why chase what you've already lived, already honored? Yes, your younger self had energy, but now you have something even deeper. Essence, presence, perspective. You're not behind, you're above. Let the young be young, but let yourself be whole. Ask yourself, what do I have now that I didn't have back then? How can I live this season of life with wisdom, not worry? Let me tell you a story. There was once a little boy who spent his morning watching a butterfly struggle to break free from its cocoon. From 8 a.m. to nearly 11:30, he watched closely, his heart full of excitement. Just as the butterfly started tearing open the cocoon with its tiny legs, his mother called him in for lunch. He didn't want to leave. He said, "Please wait, Mom. It's almost out. I want to see it fly." But his mother kept calling, louder, again and again. So in a hurry with good intentions, the boy gently tore open the cocoon to help the butterfly out faster. And yes, at first it looked magical. The butterfly came out and flapped its wings. It tried to fly, but within moments its wings collapsed. It had not built the strength it needed to soar, and soon after, it died. The lesson? If someone else breaks your cocoon from the outside, your transformation will not last. Real growth, the kind that gives life, must begin from within. Just like a chick must break the shell from inside to live, so must we break free from our own inner limits, not rely on others to do it for us. And that's why this moment in your life is not less powerful, it's more. Because now, you can choose to raise your own inner awareness, to step into a deeper version of who you are, to no longer wait for the world to fix you, to no longer compare your path to someone else's, but instead to say, today, I become more than I was yesterday. Not by being younger, but by being wiser. You are not too late, you are in season. And this chapter of your life, if written from within, can be your most radiant one yet. You don't have to carry everything you've ever lived through. This stage of life isn't about holding on, it's about letting go. Letting go of guilt, fear, expectations, comparisons, and the belief that it's too late. Because peace doesn't come from doing more, it comes from becoming more honest, more open, more free. So if you've reached this chapter of your life, feeling tired, heavy, or unsure, let this be your permission to release, to set down the weight you were never meant to carry forever. Because your story isn't finished. In fact, the most meaningful part may be just beginning. You are not here to fade, you are here to rise. Not by force, but by lightness. And when you finally return to your truest self, you'll remember, peace was never behind you. It's always been waiting inside you.